The Biafran Liberation Army, BLA, reportedly stormed and destroyed Nigerian army camp and Asari Dokubo boys camp in Biafra land, forcing them to flee. During the invasion, Biafran Liberation Army operatives allegedly set vehicles at the camp on fire as a show of force. However, a former IPOB member, Ikenga, harshly criticized Biafran Liberation Army commander, popularly known as Gentle, calling him a coward and accusing him of misleading the youth. During the invasion, Biafran Liberation Army operatives allegedly set vehicles at the camp on fire as a show of force. However, a former IPOB member, Ikenga, harshly criticized Biafran Liberation Army commander, popularly known as Gentle, calling him a coward and accusing him of misleading the youth. Ikenga alleged that Simon Ekpa is using the Biafran struggle to deceive people, which are leading to unnecessary loss of life among the youth. He warned that defeating the Nigerian government militarily is impossible and urged young people to stop dying for a lost cause. However, a critic dismissed claims that Simon Ekpa is imprisoned in Finland, stating he's only under investigation and not detained. The Nigerian government is accused of lacking evidence against Simon Ekpa and of using false propaganda to intimidate Biafrans. A proposed life-saving whistle system in Biafra is likened to a traditional town crier's call, meant to alert communities of danger and deter attackers. The critic announced plans to open a Biafran embassy in Washington, D.C. by May 30, 2025, signaling a push for global legitimacy. The critic declared that Nigerian authorities like General Musa have no jurisdiction over Biafrans or their leaders and should stop issuing threats. In recent days, events unfolding in southeastern Nigeria have once again stirred the conversation about the ongoing Biafran separatist movement and the increasing violence surrounding it. One particularly shocking incident involved an alleged attack by the Biafran Liberation Army on a camp belonging to the Nigerian army and a group loyal to Mujahid Asari Dokubo, a well-known ex-militant leader from the Niger Delta who claims to support the Nigerian state. This report, while based on circulating videos and eyewitness testimonies, carries significant implications for the growing unrest in the southeastern region of Nigeria. According to footage shared on social media, operatives who identified themselves as members of the Biafran Liberation Army stormed what they claimed was a base belonging to the Nigerian military and Mujahid Asari Dokubo's boys. During the raid, the attackers were seen setting several vehicles on fire, leaving the area in chaos and forcing the occupants to flee. This display was intended, according to some voices within the Biafran struggle, as a show of strength and a warning to what they perceive as collaborators of the Nigerian state operating in Biafran territory. This sudden strike caught many by surprise, but it was quickly followed by a wave of responses from figures within and around the movement. One of the most vocal reactions came from a man named Ikenga, a former member of the indigenous people of Biafra, often abbreviated as IPOB. Ikenga, once an active participant in the struggle, has in recent years become an outspoken critic of both the leadership and the direction the movement has taken under the guidance of certain individuals, most notably Simon Ekpa and the commander known by the alias Gentle. In his comments, Ikenga did not hold back. He referred to Commander Gentle, who is believed to be a leading figure in the Biafran Liberation Army, as a coward. He accused him of misleading young people and sending them to their deaths in battles they cannot win. According to Ikenga, this kind of military confrontation with the Nigerian state is not only reckless, but completely unrealistic. In his view, Nigeria's military apparatus is too powerful to be defeated through guerrilla tactics or open combat, and such attempts only result in the unnecessary loss of Biafran lives. Ikenga's perspective comes from someone who was once part of the inner circle of IPOB. He now claims that Simon Ekpa, a controversial figure leading a faction of the Biafran movement from Finland, has taken advantage of the cause and is using it as a tool of deception. Ikenga alleges that Simon Ekpa's leadership is based not on genuine strategy or diplomacy, but on emotionally manipulating people who are desperate for justice and change. He insists that what is happening now is not a coordinated liberation struggle, but a dangerous game that sacrifices young men and women for political showmanship. Adding another layer to the situation, rumors had been circulating that Simon Ekpa was imprisoned in Finland, where he resides. This would be significant, as Simon Ekpa has become the most visible figurehead for the Biafran separatist cause after the arrest and detention of Kanu, the IPOB leader who is currently held by Nigerian authorities. However, a critic of the Nigerian government, who appears to be sympathetic to Simon Ekpa, quickly dismissed these rumors. According to this critic, Simon Ekpa is not imprisoned, but is currently under investigation. They assert that no formal charges have been brought against him, and he is simply being restricted from making public statements about Biafra until the investigation is complete. This critic went on to accuse the Nigerian government of relying on propaganda to intimidate Biafrans and of lacking any real evidence to present to Finnish authorities that would justify detaining Simon Ekpa. They argue that the Nigerian state is merely trying to silence dissent by labeling Biafran leaders as terrorists or criminals without due process. They specifically targeted General Christopher Gwabin Musa, the current Chief of Defense Staff of the Nigerian Armed Forces, accusing him of overstepping his jurisdiction by threatening Biafran activists. The critic emphasized that General Christopher Gwabin Musa, or any Nigerian official, has no legal authority over what they call the sovereign nation of Biafra, especially when it comes to its leaders or its aspirations. Interestingly, the same critic also introduced a proposed innovation known as the life-saving whistle, an alert system designed to help Biafran communities respond quickly to threats or attacks. This whistle is described as an updated version of the traditional town crier's call. In times past, town criers would beat a gong or blow a horn to call the community together or to warn of danger. The idea behind the life-saving whistle is to revive that sense of communal defense. When someone blows the whistle, others in the area are expected to do the same, creating a chain reaction that will scare off intruders and alert people to protect themselves. While this idea may sound simple, its implications are significant. It represents a kind of grassroots security effort that aims to reduce dependence on the state's police or military, which many in the southeast believe have failed to protect them. The whistle system is being pitched not just as a tool for defense, but as a symbol of Biafran unity and collective responsibility. Amid all these developments, one of the most ambitious claims made by Biafran activists is the planned opening of a Biafran embassy in Washington, D.C. on May 30, 2025. This move is being promoted as a step toward gaining international legitimacy. According to its advocates, establishing such an office in the capital of the United States of America would signal to the world that Biafra is serious about its quest for recognition as an independent nation. While the legal and diplomatic viability of such a mission remains questionable, since Biafra is not yet recognized as a state by any country, this effort clearly shows the lengths to which activists are willing to go to assert their cause on the global stage. Returning to the criticism of General Christopher Gwabin Musa, the critic accused the Nigerian military of being selective in its enforcement of the law. For example, they pointed out that when the United States requested the extradition of former Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari, who was implicated in a major international fraud case, the Nigerian government did little to act on it. The implication here is that the Nigerian state applies pressure only when it serves its political interests, particularly when the target is from the southeastern region or linked to Biafra. This type of narrative plays into the broader belief among many Southeasterners that they are being treated unfairly by the Nigerian state. They argue that military operations in the region are excessive, that freedom of speech is being suppressed, and that justice is rarely served in their favor. The statements made in this video and others like it reflect a deep sense of betrayal and alienation from the Nigerian government. Whether one agrees with the separatist ideology or not, it is hard to ignore the emotional and psychological toll that decades of conflict, arrests, killings, and unfulfilled promises have taken on the people in the region. As this story continues to unfold, it raises many difficult questions. What is the future of the Biafran movement? Can peaceful dialogue ever be restored between the Nigerian government and separatist groups? Or has the situation deteriorated so far that mutual trust can no longer be repaired? These are not questions with easy answers. What is clear, however, is that the Biafran issue is far from resolved. The events of the past few days, especially the assault on the military camp, the backlash against Simon Ekpa and Commander Gentle, and the attempts to build an international presence, are signs that this struggle is entering a new phase. Whether this phase will lead to more violence or open a door to peaceful negotiation depends not only on the actions of the Nigerian government, but also on the choices made by the leaders of the movement and the communities that support them. To fully understand the tensions gripping southeastern Nigeria today, one must first look at the historical context that shaped the Biafran movement. The idea of Biafra did not begin in recent years or with social media personalities. It dates back to the 1960s, when regional, ethnic, and economic tensions boiled over into a devastating civil war. In 1967, following a series of pogroms and political marginalization of the Igbo people, Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the then military governor of the eastern region, declared the region an independent republic called Biafra. The Nigerian government, unwilling to accept secession, responded with force. What followed was a brutal civil war that lasted nearly 3 years and resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1 to 3 million people, many from starvation due to a blockade imposed by the federal government. That war officially ended in 1970 with Biafra's surrender, but for many Igbos, the wounds never healed. The promises made after the war of reconciliation, reconstruction, and reintegration were only partially fulfilled. Over the decades, many in the southeast felt they remained economically and politically marginalized. These lingering frustrations laid the groundwork for a new wave of agitation, one that emerged decades later with the birth of the indigenous people of Biafra, also known as IPOB, founded by Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu, a fiery and charismatic speaker, captured the imagination of many young Igbos. His radio broadcasts from London, particularly through the now-defunct Radio Biafra, stirred deep emotions. He spoke passionately about self-determination, justice for the Southeast, and the dream of an independent Biafran nation. Over time, IPOB grew from a fringe group into a powerful socio-political movement. It began organizing marches, town hall meetings, and community outreach programs, even establishing a volunteer security force called the Eastern Security Network. But the Nigerian government considered IPOB a threat to national unity and officially designated the group as a terrorist organization in 2017. Nnamdi Kanu was arrested multiple times, with the most dramatic incident being his rearrest in 2021 after fleeing the country. He has since been held in detention by Nigeria's Department of State Services, and his ongoing trial has become a rallying point for supporters. In the vacuum created by Nnamdi Kanu's absence, new voices began to emerge. Among the most prominent of them is Simon Ekpa, a dual citizen of Nigeria and Finland. Originally a disciple of Nnamdi Kanu, Simon Ekpa took over some of the responsibilities of spreading the message and organizing supporters after Kanu's arrest. But over time, a bitter rift developed between Simon Ekpa and other factions within IPOB. The IPOB Directorate of State publicly disowned him, accusing him of working against the group's core principles and going rogue. Simon Ekpa, however, refused to step down. Broadcasting from his base in Finland, he began issuing orders, calling for sit-at-home protests across the southeast and threatening those who disobeyed. These sit-at-home orders became controversial. While intended as a form of peaceful resistance and solidarity with Namdi Kanu, they caused severe economic hardship in the region. Markets, schools, and businesses were forced to close, sometimes violently, and many lives were lost in clashes and targeted killings. Under Simon Ekpa's leadership, a faction of the Biafran struggle took on a more militant tone. While he denied having any direct control over armed groups, many observers and critics claimed otherwise. Over time, the term Biafran Liberation Army began to appear in videos and public statements from fighters claiming loyalty to Biafra. This marked a shift from mass civil disobedience to militarized resistance. It is within this new wave of armed agitation that figures like Commander Gentle emerged. Commander Gentle, the individual targeted by Ikenga in his video critique, is believed to be a field commander of this Biafran militant faction. Not much is publicly known about him outside the statements made by supporters and critics alike. He is often portrayed as a key actor in organizing raids against police stations, checkpoints, and in some cases, military positions. His followers claim he is a patriot, fighting for the survival of his people. Critics like Ikenga argue that he is simply endangering young, impressionable men by encouraging violent confrontations that cannot succeed. Ikenga's criticisms are rooted in experience. He claims to have been an active part of IPOB and to have seen the movement from the inside. His message is clear. The current path is not leading to liberation, but to a cycle of violence and death. He believes the movement has been hijacked by opportunists who are playing with the lives of ordinary people. To him, figures like Simon Ekpa and Commander Gentle are symbols of a misdirected struggle that no longer has a coherent goal or achievable strategy. Meanwhile, Simon Ekpa has continued to insist that he represents the true spirit of Biafran self-determination. His supporters argue that no revolution has ever been bloodless, and that the Nigerian state has left Biafrans with no other option. In their view, the attacks on security forces, the enforcement of sit-at-home orders, and even the threats against politicians and traditional rulers who refuse to support the movement are all justified. They frame it as a war for survival and argue that the international community must eventually take notice. One of the more symbolic acts being planned by Simon Ekpa's camp is the proposed opening of a Biafran embassy in Washington, D.C. on May 30th, 2025. This date holds great significance in Biafran history. It marks the anniversary of the original Declaration of Independence in 1967. By choosing that date, the organizers are sending a message to both Nigerians and the international community that they consider Biafra a nation in waiting. However, it remains to be seen how far this initiative can go. For an embassy to be recognized, the host country, in this case the United States, must acknowledge the political entity as a sovereign state. As of now, no country officially recognizes Biafra. The symbolism of this move, however, cannot be dismissed. For many supporters of the Biafran cause, having an office or diplomatic mission in Washington, even if unofficial, is a step toward global legitimacy. It provides a place where foreign journalists, politicians, and sympathizers can engage with the Biafran struggle. Critics, however, have called it a stunt, arguing that it distracts from more meaningful political negotiations and practical development efforts within the region. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise on the ground in southeastern Nigeria. Armed attacks, revenge killings and government crackdowns have become all too common. Communities live in fear, unsure whether to support the state, the separatists, or simply try to stay out of the way. Trust is broken on all sides. The Nigerian military believes it is restoring order and protecting national unity. The separatists believe they are resisting tyranny and fighting for their people's freedom. And caught in the middle are millions of ordinary Igbos who simply want peace, dignity, and a better life. One of the most telling developments in this ongoing saga is the proposal of the life-saving whistle mentioned in the recent video. Though simple, it represents a deep shift in thinking. For decades, many Southeasterners relied on the state for protection. But as that trust erodes, communities are beginning to take matters into their own hands. The whistle is more than a warning device. It is a symbol of self-reliance and communal solidarity. It echoes the days of the town crier, a role deeply respected in Igbo tradition. When danger came, the town crier would alert the village and the people would gather, strategize and protect one another. By reviving this idea in modern form, Biafran activists are tapping into a cultural memory of unity and resistance. Yet, this also reveals a harsh reality. Southeastern communities no longer feel safe. They feel under siege, from bandits, from state forces, from unknown gunmen, and sometimes even from those who claim to protect them. The promise of the Nigerian state has not materialized for many of these communities. Basic infrastructure, justice, security, and economic opportunities remain limited. In that vacuum, the appeal of Biafra grows, not necessarily as a fully thought-out political project, but as a desperate cry for something better. As this volatile mix of history, emotion, and current conflict simmers, the international community watches largely in silence. While there are occasional statements from human rights groups or diaspora organizations, most world governments, including that of the United States, treat the Biafran issue as a domestic Nigerian affair.
So I welcome you to my broadcast. My name is Ikenga, and let's talk about what happened in Imo State yesterday. Only here notice. I notice in any time be online. Who some people did the way we were. And I can't understand why they are angry with me. In a way where why you ever people ne kwa yeneme or in a way where namaki mechi ono kande na now. Let me tell you something. All my duty is save when they deceive God. Emara, Simon Ekpa used this struggle to deceive a whole lot of people. And because of his deceit, a lot of our youths are being killed. Makana Simon has said how they can defeat the army, they can defeat the police. If you find a miserable by the end of the day, here, army buha. And they buha Simon Mando Tiena, their media warriors. I'm like what's going on. Onya Kojabu, Omehana, Abamon, because Ikenga they connected. And the very phenomenon east. Mamaro. Now, ono chani ne monye gentle. And ono mada camp. Gentle J2. Abali go the camp. Not only the Abali the camp. Abali the camp. One do two gentle go. And they book obviously their weapon. Gentle buffalo. Man, I can assure you now very soon. Akaga bata gentle because never budget. Ama mano onwaya kangali kuna much. Onwala Aduzuma how brave ka gentle di. Zuma seta gentle born no na police na the if is your emebo ogbani call phone ozobo ogba fere gba 440 gentle na complete coward, man awful defenseless people. ọbụrụ ha gbuo ọbụrụ ha na-eme woto ọfụ onye amị maọbụ onye polisi ngụrụ burukutu ọtụtụrụ onye ahụ gbuo ejụọ ya sị na Biafra liberation whatever by act na ha na-akpa ike. Look, they will not like to tell you people what's going on. They will never like to tell you people what's going on, because if they tell you what the army is doing to them, you will not agree to join them. Anytime if we post to something, they will come there to attack me. They don't want me to say it, but they are dying. And will make a whole lot of pictures. For Ifa 419 complete, you are dying for nothing. You are chasing shadow. Mado potosigi no ye menka ho ni ye me ID. O welonya ye jemu na eba na print akwụkwọ gwa ha wolu ID. Ihe ni na bo deceit. Just deceiving gullible people. People, I don't know. I'm not people say, I see the get very one. In China, their Facebook, they post to motor down the edge of the each day is open. More became Guru Agugawagi. Oh, jump to where's the camp. Then I never open oil put there then. No open oil, I want to put up the face, dear. Or the new place. And I challenge him. All the same thing members, some boy, I say gentle. Okwema na eji Zuma osimta Ikenga Zuma nani ana eba nse gentle were nwayo telifo ji we bulu ne ihe ni unu na eme bụ propaganda kele nke bụ na go na Zuma na yemo na go na Zuma ano information onye na-ekwufusi okwu eji Zuma na asa no as I'm talking to you osim na asị ọzọ bụ ozugbo ndị o nweta information na eji Zuma Organical food. Do I want our youth now because of Simon Ekpa? No. I only wish they will listen to me. You can't defeat the government. You can't. It's after God or government. Where the number of army Hebrew today, they are trained to die defending the country, Nigeria. So, Ibuha go part of their job. Ibuha or not a shaking. So, how then do you think you can make them to succumb? Send me more fiaputa. I told him, if you jabu post to have a attack because how much ni fema the too much. Check here, Zuma na gentle or Maroko. Na-ejidego na ọmakọ na-ejidego Zuma mgbe ọsị ọkwa na-ejidego Zuma na ọya ọtọ ọsịta mgbe ọ matazi ọsọ baa ya ọkpa nwanne m kere ife onye eji wejiri aka na-egbusisi onwe ọkwa ife ịma mmadụ onye nwụrụ because of 2nd December ndị na-ebe ha nọ tinyecha flag akpọrọ onye akpọ je gosi ebe ha agba ha gbogbo kere ife bata na ụlọ anyị zuzu pụtara ọ na-achọ mgbe ụlọ ncha niile nwụchara iche na ịbụ hardcore ịbụ ewu idiot ka ịbụ ịmara ife kere ife nwụrụ fọ ọnọkọ ndị anụnwa akpụje ha na Simon ijele Europe ije chụọ ego iluosi na iji ime struggle oke kere ife ya akọrọ nwunye gị kere ife aga akpọghị hero na ị nwụrụ maọbụ na ijele nga ọ bụrụ mbụ nwunye gị ebe ha na nga anụọ m dị ọzọ bikos ewu ka ebu ife ma na o nwere nothing agbara m na-enwekwodo ọkọ na uche ụna mụkwụna m gwa onye Nnewi unu efilu na ọ bụ na enwere uru n'ihe anụnwa mụ nwa ya anọ na ya una amara ife. And I'm pleading with you people to rethink. Think. Stop fooling yourself. Stop dying for nothing. You can't defeat the government. You can't. They are only motivating you to go after your early grave. After, well, oh, they are zoo. You. Izuzu, the same on this, you know that they will you. Ndala. A word is enough for the wise. Get out of that bush, or you will be forced to get out of the bush.
You claim that you locked up Simon Ekpa. You claim that Simon Ekpa is being detained in one jihadi whatever prison in Latin Finland. But I want to challenge you people today to give us evidence that you locked up Simon Ekpa in that prison and Simon Ekpa is being detained in that particular prison. There is no such thing, Biafrans. I must tell you, Simon Ekpa, from what I know and what I understand today, is that Simon Ekpa is being restricted from speaking to Biafrans until the investigations are being over. And then there is what they call forensic investigation, and that is what they are doing now to make sure that they put these Nigerian lies to the dustbin, because that is what is coming to be. Nigeria has no case to present, or rather evidence to present to the Finnish authority, and that is what is still happening up to today. Nigeria has not been able to provide one incriminating evidence on our prime minister. This is what they are doing to the Southeasterners, come with all manner of lies, intimidation, and all what have you. And now look at what they are saying today, intimidating the Southeasterners not to, you know, speak about the independent state of Biafra because they said they prescribed us. I want to use this opportunity to ask General Christopher Musa, who prescribed the indigenous people of Biafra a terrorist organization? Who prescribed ESN a terrorist organization? Your courts that cannot deliver the poor individuals in Nigeria. Is it the court that Tinubu has hijacked today that is prescribing me as a terrorist organization? So your court is not competent enough to prescribe me a terrorist organization. It is the international body that will prescribe me a terrorist organization. And I want to use this opportunity to challenge Musa that the office of the President of the United States of America asks for extradition of the former deputy police commissioner, which is Al-Bakari. You people did nothing about it because he's a northerner. But because this man called Simon Ekpa is an Igbo man defending the land, the sovereign nation of Biafra, that is why you guys are propagating, so you see whether anything can be done. That is why you put out there that Simon Njoku Ekpa has been, you know, that the case of Simon Ekpa has been wrapped up and Simon Ekpa will be coming to Nigeria anytime soon. So Biafran, on this note, I want to tell you there is nothing like that and nothing of such is here happening. So on that note, again, I want to tell Biafrans this. Somebody asked me, what is the meaning of this whistle that they said they want to bring to Biafran land? The meaning of that life-saving whistle is this. You know, during the olden days, when our fathers, or rather our kings or chiefs, want to call for what is it called, meeting, they ask their trunk crier to go and hit this ogene, boom, 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 and then everybody that hears it knows that something is up, that maybe the Igwe or whoever is calling for a meeting, and they, you know, people gather together and see who is calling, and then they come and they gather and they know that, oh, there is danger, the Igwe just called for a meeting and all whatnot. So that is what it is here. That is what it is. That is what the United States of Biafra is trying to do, to curb insecurity in the southeast, and that is what they are trying to do. So when you have that whistle, you blow it, the next door neighbor blows it, the third person blows it, the fourth person blows it. It will scare the criminals away from coming to attack anybody in that vicinity. So that's what that whistle is all about. So, and again, the same whistle is just an upgrade of the car horn, an upgrade of the keke horn, an upgrade of your Okada horn. So this is just the same thing. When you press that button, when you blow the whistle, it alerts you of danger. It alerts the next person of danger. So everybody blows it, and then the people coming to cause the mayhem runs away. So that is why they have what is it called? This vehicles horn. When you push the horn, then the people around you goes out. You know. So that's what it means. So it's just like that. It's just as simple as that. It's not something serious. So this is the reason why the created that horn. You see what I mean? So it is not something serious. It's something we can, apparently deal with to use and curb insecurity. And that is why Musa came out and started threatening the Igbos. It's just for the world to see what we are passing through in the whole of the Southeast. So this is just a normal thing. So Musa desist from threatening Biafrans because you don't have jurisdiction over the sovereign nation of the independent state of Biafra. So this is one thing I must tell you today. Please desist from threatening Biafrans. And Biafrans, I want to tell you this, that Nigerian has lost their confidence. They have lost every respect that they have for bringing up this evil lies against the Biafran Prime Minister. Again, what they did was to push out this evil narrative to see how people can buy into it, and then maybe they will use it as part of their evidence. We are still tracing where this information is coming from, and then we will know the next thing to do with that. So Biafrans, on this note, I will have to tell you people, the Lord is on our side. Airborne to Biafrans, and remember, on the 30th of next month, which is May, we are going to be opening our very embassy in Washington, D.C., United States of America. And from there, the Nigeria will understand how serious we are. We ain't joking this time around. So for those of you who is asking me what is the meaning of the whistle, that is the whistle. And I challenge the Nigerian government to tell me the prison that they have put Simon Ekpa, the police station where Simon Ekpa is cooling off. Please, until then, Musa, you have no rights to threaten any Biafran, because you are not part of the governor of any 40 state of United States of Biafran.
Icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.